I guess we can start off with Impact Wrestling. They made the announcement of where they are going to be slotted on AXS TV. They're going to be moving to Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Impact will start there on October 29th, but in the 4 weeks leading up, they're going to be airing several specials, beginning with October 1st, the Homecoming pay-per-view from this past January. The following week, on October the 8th, it's going to be Rebellion from April. Then the following week after that, October 15th, is Slammiversary. October 22nd is going to be a special called This Is Impact. And then it leads into the special on the debut of Impact on October the 29th. So Tuesday nights, Impact is moving in where the WWE is leaving with that 8 to 10 time slot.
I think it's the best move that they could have made, and I think it's the move that maybe you and I, suspected that they would make. Timing is really great with, I think, a good deal of buzz coming out of the AXS acquisition, and I think the idea of airing all of their pay-per-views, which I think for the most part have received like pretty good reviews to actually very good reviews in the lead up to it, is really smart. I wonder if there was something holding them back from like actually airing like the TV that's going up until Bound for Glory, but you can argue that this might be even better. You'll absolutely get better matches, and maybe this might be a better representation of what the current Impact is versus even the present day TV.
Yeah, and I would imagine they're going to be airing these pay-per-views in their entirety in these slots, and Scott D'Amore and Josh Matthews are going to be doing wraparounds on the pay-per-views. So I would imagine there's going to be promotional material for Bound for Glory. You could argue if it's more valuable, since your revenue generator is your pay-per-view at the moment, that the TV building up the pay-per-view would, like, if you've got this new playground that has so much more visibility than Pursuit, I mean, you should just move it as soon as possible. But for certain reasons, maybe they have a certain amount that they want to be on Pursuit to finish that up versus building up to one big premiere on AXS. So, I mean, you can certainly argue. And
if you're like, a fan who's somebody who's not watching Impact at all, like, what do you think is a better calling card for what you're going to be spending your money on if you're thinking about spending your money on Bound for Glory? I don't think it'll be the TV. I think it'll be, if I pay this amount of money, what type of show am I going to get? And that's what they're going to be showing on the weeks leading up to it.
Well, you could argue that some of these pay-per-views, like the big feud was LAX against Phoenix and Pentagon. And if I am coming across this, I mean, 4 of your major stars, they will not be there at the end of it. So, but these are, like, largely, the Impact pay-per-views have been pretty well received. And there's enough performers that were featured on these pay-per-views that are still around. And we're going to see... Well, we're going to see in one sense, like, just the overall buzz that Impact receives coming out of this, because we're still not going to be able to see what numbers they're doing on AXS. Like, I'm not expecting that this is going to be through the roof for them viewership-wise, but certainly it's a step up, and we're going to see several months in, like, what kind of changes is this going to bring about with Impact? Is this going to lead to business increasing? Is this going to lead to them kind of re-entering the weekly professional wrestling conversation that they've kind of exited from the large part? Or is it so much wrestling that we're going into on a weekly basis that Impact is going to be like many others that are just trying to be the alternative for people that are looking for even more outside of their WWE, AEW consumption?
Right, yeah. Whatever it is, though, like, AXS is not the biggest channel, but it's certainly bigger than Pursuit. And I think being on Tuesday really helps, put Impact at least in the discussion. Because I think as it currently existed, there might have been a hot match that occurred on Impact, but nobody would really end up talking about it. Especially with it being on Friday, it's pretty much invisible. At least if it's on a Tuesday, in between, like, Monday's Raw and Wednesday's AEW and NXT, like, on podcasts like ours, you might hear discussion. On, like, message forums, you might see discussion. At least it enters them into, I think, a better space for people to talk about it if there's an interesting segment or a great match.
Yeah, I think that certainly for that first week, I think that they are going to get some attention from people. And you could certainly argue that October 1st, you're putting that pay-per-view on. I mean, if you were to launch Impact on October 1st, I think it would be lost in a week where there is so much going on. Impact would not be a priority, and you kind of waste that opportunity to sort of create your own spotlight, whatever level of spotlight that's going to be for an AXS TV debut.
Right. Yeah, and perhaps for a lot of people, that jumping on point will be Bound for Glory. And that's a show that, the pressure is really on them. I mean, all these shows, I think, for Impact, the pressure's been on them to deliver, but I feel like this is probably the most important one that they've had in quite some time.
And I haven't gotten an answer yet about how this changes their airings in Canada, because it does air on the Fight Network here in Canada as well as Game TV. My assumption would be that it's going to Fight Network will carry it Tuesday nights at 8, but I haven't been told that officially. So we will find out what the airings are going to be, because Fight Network carries it Friday nights at 10, and then Game TV airs it Saturday nights at 7 Eastern, I believe. That's what they currently have on. And those are both Anthem channels, Game TV and Fight Network.
Yeah, so they can air it whenever. I'm sure they'll probably re-air it a few times.
I would imagine you're going to get replays, and that'll be something interesting as well. Like, what kind of replays do they do on AXS TV? Like, it's their network; they can do whatever they want now in terms of additional programming. And in the one hand, it's like you can do whatever you want, but at the same time, you're not getting paid for this programming. You've bought this network, and ultimately, it is going to be what is the end game here to make Impact this profit center for the company, and that's going to be the next, I think, major. Well, not just a hurdle, like a major one.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it becomes bigger than whether or not Impact itself is profitable, but whether or not AXS is profitable, whether or not Fight Network is profitable. It's at this point, Impact is sort of like one piece of that larger Anthem puzzle.